Well, hello everyone, and welcome back. We're starting this a new ship on the cartoon The Bad Batch, which I'm really enjoying. Started watching it, and then I found this on eBay for a really good price. So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna order myself that ship. I have that 3D printed one. It's a little smaller, but this is gonna be a lot nicer, and then I can at least do minimum lighting. I'm just gonna light the front windshield. We'll hit the gun turret back here, and we'll just hit the engine. So it's a whole grand total of four little lights. Nice simple looking kit, which is I can use since we've been working on the 3D printed stuff. But fairly simple, straightforward. Reminds me a lot of the shuttle Tidarium, especially when you get to here, where you're putting the rear back part together. A little easier design on the how the wings go up and down compared to the Tidarium shuttle. They had like different fingers that went up, but also that ship weighs a lot more. It's a lot bigger, so you kind of had to have more than just two pivot points because it looks like the wing just snaps in. Yeah, just with two pivot points. But yeah, I think we can pretty much assemble almost everything because, like I said, the only thing I'll leave off is those, but I'll just mask the front windows, and then the red part that goes on the back for the gun turret I can put on last. We'll have the SMD sitting there, and I can just put a little piece of tape on it, and that'll keep it from paint. And then on the engines, which are on this piece, I'll just drill a tiny little hole and put those in there. These I could probably get away with a little 3mm bulb. I think that's what I'm going to do. And probably what I'll do is make one flickering and the other on a slave through the whole series connection on those, so that if I say I put the flickering bulb in here, the power will come here and then out of the negative here and make this one flicker the same. That way this would look cool with them both going at the same time. Some ships I like when they're, and the Hallcraft, I wanted a whole bunch, so because it's a bunch of cells that make up that rear engine. So it makes more sense if it has some different flickering, and you kind of see that in the ship anyway. So I'm going to start assembling some stuff, and then I'll probably pop in when we're doing like wiring stuff. Now looking at it, I might as well attach all this on. You do actually have a spot where wire can come out. So there we go. Now where do I want to put the light is one question. So I have at least this part glued to that, this glued together, and this as a whole glued to that back wall. And right now it's just snapped into the top of the ship. I was expecting that these would get really tight and I would just drill a hole through. I mean, I could just glue it to the bottom here. It's going to glow this whole inside, especially if I hit it with black and then just do a little bit of white to get it to move a little bit, but it should be probably fine. We don't want, at this scale, you don't want them overpowering anyway. So, I'll just bend the wire down and just have it here and have it shine this way. Now, I just got this temporary together. Pop this open. But wet and light blocked it, and then hit it with some silver in there, and got the LED in the back here. So we can glue this together. I think what we'll do is use some of this on the pegs. press it down, and I'll use the extra thin to seal it the rest of the way. What would be best? Try to line up all of it. There they go. And then there's detail pieces that go across. Do I have them on there? But there's detail pieces that go across the front there. And I like to run it around the joints. I should get a little bit up here. The great thing about the extra thin is it dries really quick too. Pretty much mainly acetones and acetates, so it doesn't take much. Yeah, that worked out good. And these came right through. And then what we can do, I'll show you. That's the lighting here. And there we go. I don't think this battery is the brightest battery, so. But like I said, I don't want this to be overly bright anyway, because scale want it extremely bright. But the silver is helping it. But also, I think this battery's low, so it's probably going to be a little bit brighter once we hook it up to actual power. Because yeah, we'll do a plug-in for this. There's nowhere to hide a battery in it. No, I didn't really pay attention to what was what. Okay, that little detail goes up here on there. A little extra. We'll get them glued on that way first, and then we'll go with the extra thin. Ooh, that's too much. Don't need a touch. Those amazingly went on really smooth. But it'll get better once we tack it down with this. So now we have a complete cockpit. Is there any of this extra? This is the quick set extra thin. That's empty though. All right. So we're all the way up to part 6, which then we're starting to do the bottom of the hull. And the way I think I'm going to do it is we'll glue these pieces down to the bottom because we need to do some work attaching all the wiring. We'll probably put the blank because there's for the landing gear. I'm not even going to ever use landing gear, so I'm not even going to worry about that. But they give you a blank. They give you actually two blanks. They give you I think it's 19A or 19B. 19A has the hole for the post, and then 19B is just a solid piece. All right, and then you guys just go like that. Or do they sit in like that? Is that what they do? Let me look at the. Can I get a shot of the bottom of the? Where's the bottom? Yeah, do they sit like that? like a recess. They got quite a gap there too. I don't know. I mean, they fit better like this, or it actually makes a notch. It's hard to tell because that picture doesn't really give you a good angle, and neither does this. They don't show them in; they just show you going up into them. But that's how I'm going to say they would, because they would come down. Yeah, and they snap in there nice. Yeah, that's got to be it. If not, that's how mine are going because it looks a lot better. But I'm pretty sure that's what they're saying. They just don't give you the right view. All right, that is the front. So that's where that clips in. I always like to do a dry fit, and then we can actually probably glue it while it's in. There's no light going on in here, so we don't really need anything so springy. But we'll dab. A little thicker glue here. And that stuff there dries pretty quick too. Then we can take this and hit all those areas. All right, and then we need the back half. It should be on the other one with that wing. Yep. Also looking for any flashing, but they're pretty clean parts in that regards. Now we can actually start building. Make sure this is all sitting flat. Yeah. We can get a wiring in. But unlike what they say, they put the cockpit on. Actually, they do like almost one of the last things. They do the 3 wings in the cockpit all at one shot. Back here in pretty much the last step, besides the landing gear and the mounting. But we're going to put our cockpit on now because I don't think that would really matter, and we can do the wings later because the wings we got black areas to paint, so they'd be easier to do all that painting separate. We got to drill a small hole. I wonder if that would be more than enough. Get wire up there. Need a switch leg or nothing. And I noticed another neat thing finally that round 2 is doing is they're giving you hollow pipes, hollow stand tubes. Yeah. Instead of giving you a rod, they're giving you an actual tube for once. Yeah, and that does fit. I wasn't sure it was because they also give you the option to do the where in here you stick a little socket and then on here you put a little ball and then they snap in and that way you can put the ship at different little angles. But they make it so you can either do that or that. So great. Okay, so we have that done. We know we can get wires into here. Now we can yeah, you're pretty strong already. Because what else happens? And they want you to put the top down on. And then after that, you're doing the guns on the front. Which, like I said, we'll do the actual guns. And then I can still be able to access them to hand paint them and then wait to put the little top covers on. Now, I have to choose a pocket, and I think we're going to go through the top since it's kind of curving up anyway. We'll stick it through this top one. It's the way it's facing. Oh, let's see how fun this is. There it goes. Click. And do you fit? Perfect. Fits the tip in, but that little rim that's always in the back of these will catch. And will it fit from this way? Yeah. Yep. And we'll definitely cut the dome off so it's not a flashlight. Well, I think I'm going to do this and then put this top on. And since we just done a lot of gluing here, let's let everything conform. That's all we need to do. I don't need you all the way down. I just want you to hold everything in the right squareness as we let this sit for a little bit. But yeah, that's going to be a nice size ship. Not overly big. Running out of shelf space anyway. Can't tell that's just a black light blocking paint in there that I'm seeing, or is that a gap? It's a cool ship. I like this one. And then I started watching the series. Yeah, I got a little. Clone Wars is great. I haven't sat down and really got a chance. I used for a while there. I was listening to episodes while I was doing this, and that gets hard to do because Disney freaks out, even though you're working on like a model from their thing and whatever and whatnot. But a lot of times I'll listen to episodes. Right now I'm actually watching. I have it off now, paused now, but I'm watching some Bad Batch episodes. I started watching Rebels. I've watched all of season one and into season two, and I really like that series. And this is great. And then they have a new one coming out with Darth Maul, which it's looking that's going to be pretty good. But So I really wanted to have a nice version of this ship since I was really getting into the series, and it is a cool ship. You know, it's like a cool fighter style remnants of like the shuttle Tidarian, but more aggressive with the points, kind of like a interceptor kind of thing going on. Okay, well, let's let this sit for a little bit and cure up. All right, been working on some of the wiring. I also glued some, we only really had the cannons to do. Like I said, I'm going to leave the shields till later because they pretty much go with the hull color, and I think these are gray, a darker gray. So we'll leave that off, but that's it for parts. I even glued on these little pieces, just simple things. Cleaned up the wings there. Put these little ends on. I don't know if I showed the cannon and all that stuff going on. Just little parts. It's a small, nice little kit, so it's not a whole lot to glue. Not a lot of parts. I don't know how many, but not a lot. So I have it like this because I was working on the light here in the back, actually. So I put a little SMD there for a light, and make sure it's working. Really? Let me see, you little bugger. All right. So that'll be the red light for the gun turret, or AKA slash Omega's bedroom during the series. I'm really enjoying the series. So that's what made me want to get this actual kit. But the wonderful thing why I bought it also is because I found it real cheap. It was like a little bit over $20. Before I thought it was a little overpriced for a kit of this size. But this gives me a lot more detail than the little 3D printed one that I just printed for fun. But what I did with back here is my normal thing, and these prongs could reach. So we're coming in, coming out. I could get those prongs to reach. And then we got our negative prong to go to the circuit. So that's what we're doing. Now, where are we actually at here? I guess we can add this resistor to these two. We're going to go to the white one at first because the white one is a 3 volt. I don't think it really matters because the red one's a 2 volt and the white one's a 3 volt. Because a lot of times some certain colored bulbs are actually use less voltage. So just to make sure, I'm going to go through this one, come out, and then just feed this one instead of using 2 resistors. Small ship, no biggie. Sometimes when the bigger ships, I'm a little worried. If worse comes to worse, I lose one of these. Well, if I lose this one, it'll lose that one. But it's not a big deal. But like Enterprise and stuff, where if you started doing things in series, like especially if you're doing the lighting in the whole saucer, you can lose whole sections. And yeah, that wouldn't be good. Get a good twist on these. There we go. What I'm gonna do, since this one I can actually wrap around, I can get this to come up a little bit. Hold you there. I should be able to take the wire and just. Sometimes you gotta use tweezers because your fingers are so fat. It causes problems. Let's get that tack down and then we can tack the thin SMD negative to that. And we're not dealing with that. And we can pull some of this black out of here. But leave some slack. I always like to leave some slack. And now we can guesstimate what we need here. 2 plus. Wire is cheap. There we go. Now she's free. And you came loose, huh? You can do that once I glue that down. But for now, just stay there. I gotta stop cleaning up when I'm on camera, but I got OCD and it distracts me, and then you sometimes end up knocking into things all the time too. Okay, let's do a test. Usually with these, since they're so small, you kind of grab half the insulation and just pull the wire around it. I find that works the best because you'll never just grab that little wire. If you get part of the alligator clip to grab the insulation, it can catch that and then bend them over onto the metal, the actual piece. Let's see if we can get this stuff out of the way. We're at 9 volts. Yes. Awesome. We got a light going on in the cockpit area. Our engines are flickering, and we got our red light back there. So there's our cockpit light. Let me turn the actual ambient light down here. Yeah, there's the cockpit light. Well, we can see some light spots. Some where the plastic's glowing. But we'll probably do a black primer anyway to make sure. And there's our engines. I think these shuttles look cool with the engines going at the same time. And if I block that, you can actually then see the gun turret light. Sweet. And that might be the way to go, is to hit this with a whole black primer. So that's the wiring, very simple. But it's nice to have something very simple. And now we can actually start closing this down. Probably, we got quite a few things to get lined up here. There we go. But I don't want to press it all the way down yet until we get. That's gonna be neat. So now it's getting to these. I'm gonna paint. Yeah, because these I'm gonna paint separate. That way I can work on them a little bit and then assemble them. This I think I'm actually going to glue on because it's not going to be too. Oops, goes this way. I don't know why I always wanted to have a sleeve, but this actually lurches forward. This one here isn't so big and out in the way, so I'll actually put that on there. Paint that with this. But these will be easier to deal with, the masking and doing these in a black with them off. All right, let's get this glued down. We want some good glue out there. Oh yeah, we got plenty. That's where some stress could be from the wings going up and down. Not really too worried about that because my thin, extra thin should go in there. There we go. Not so, but not too bad. I thought that would be a little more difficult. Yeah, that's it. And lightly with sandpaper, cleaning up those seams. We're good. That's it. But while we're doing it, how clean is all this? Looks good. I might put a little dab of that on. Like I said, I think we can get this one down and just go with it. Ah, it's starting to look like the Marauder. I mean, we could actually snap these in there because they have pegs. Clean up, or I put a lot of glue here. We got some weirdness going on here. Yeah, might be a little bit of unevenness there. And there's a little bit on here too. I'm trying to stay away from their little buttons that click. Yeah, that made it better. And I'm not gonna snap it in all the way, but we'll be able to do all that kind of good stuff. Yeah, there we go. Next stage painting, which is going to be really fun. It's got some cool weathering. I'm going to try to make it as much like the cartoon version, where some of the nicks and stuff are in like a blue. Now, getting ready to do a primer. Oh, got a little piece of it there. Everything's taped off. Got the wings cockpit window taped off. Did a little liquid vinyl for the back engines. A little piece of tape on the light for the gun turret. So that's already sanded these seams. Checked all my seams to make sure they're good. Already did the main wings with a primer, and then what we'll do is we'll just mask these parts off when we do the gray. So we can use that black primer as our. I guess these are still kind of like a TIE fighter. I don't know if that's what they're supposed to be like, or are they just like that aesthetic, but we'll just tape them off and leave them the primer black. So that works. Oh, we got the primer all done. So, and everything looks good. Wow, even just doing that brought all the different detail in the panels out. Really nice. So now it's time to move on to some hull colors. And then first, since this is on here, we gotta mask that and mask these wings. All masked up and ready to paint. Make sure everything's down. Both sides of the wings. Okay. We'll get some gray on this. All right. Got the hull color on. And started peeling off. Did a little cleanup on this wing already. So this one's pretty much done. Let's see how this one came out. Nice. We always have a little cleanup to do there. Plus down here, because I just went over, there's like 3-cylinder things kind of going up there. And it's easier to just come in here. Being that the primer is a way stronger paint than the craft acrylics, I can just go, and that's what this blue-gray is. So I can just kind of go in and just scratch it away. And even come in with like a wet Q-tip. And loosen it up a little water. But it's pretty much, there I had a pretty good blow through. But I'm not going to worry about it too much because this ship is quite dirty. So a lot of this will probably get hidden in a wash. So we're going to do a really good wash on this. Unlike most Imperial craft, well, this would have been really more of a clone. So it would have been more of a Republic craft, I guess you could say. Because according to their show, it starts off with them still being Force 99, which is a clone trooper division. And they actually see Order 66 happen, but it doesn't really affect them because their genetics are different than the regular clones. There was experimental stuff done with them. So that did something to their inhibitor chip. So they didn't get that Order 66 bug, I guess you could say. So really, yeah, this is really more of a Republic ship. Technically, during the Clone Wars. And then I might ever, if I find another one like this, or like I said, I don't know if Gambodies has one of these. It's a shame that they don't. If they don't, um, but I think Big Bang Collectibles does, and I would like to make a bigger version of this. Unfortunately, I got to keep the Windows tapes on for a while. So tempted. You always want to see what it looks like. But I mean, I could always remask it, but I think it's just much better just to leave it alone. It's still sitting down really nice because we're going to be doing some clear coats. I'm going to do all this panel work, and then we'll seal all this with a clear coat. And then we'll start doing decals. Then we'll seal them down with another light clear coat. And then we'll do a wash and any other weathering stuff. And I didn't realize this is a snap kit, so that's why I had to drill those peg holes bigger, because they're actually supposed to snap. But I like to glue these anyway, so because then we never have any flexing and paint cracking because it flexed at a joint. There she goes. That's a nice vehicle. Decent size. Much better than that little 3D printed one. I think it's only the cockpit area is only probably about to there. Much better detail. All right, well, I'm going to finish cleaning up these wings and touch up any of the black that I need to touch up. I'm not going to go terribly crazy. This one looks really good. Oh, this one I haven't done. And then I got to quickly extend the blue up into the black here in these three little detail parts. To ease of taping, I just cut right across it because it needs black down in there anyway. Well, I went through and did some painting. I wasn't going to bore you with all the little panel painting of all the different little panels. But all painted up pretty much, I think. Except for the clear parts that we got to do. The engine pieces and the gunner thing. Because the engine pieces we're going to have to tape off in there, and then the outside we're going to have to hit black and then hit it with the hull color. I started off with more of a gray, and then I went with this royal blue. She's a little more on the blue side, but I kind of like that anyway. Because the gray was too gray. She needs a little bit of a blue hue, but I think it could have had a little more of a darker gray look. It's hard to tell in a lot of shots. Lighting changes it too. Like here, she looks real like gray, and in dark, she kind of fades into like a blue. They say to use, I forget, like a haze gray. So I'm liking that. Did all the panels, and then I hit it a little bit with some gray pastels to kind of tone it a little bit down. But I am liking it. So that's kind of where we're at. I went and snapped the wings on now because a lot of the stuff we're going to be doing is as a whole. So I think the next thing to do as far as this part is to get it a satin clear, and then we can do some decals. What do we got? That's that. We can do some of the decals. Oh, we do have to get these shields on the guns on these here. So I went and painted them the gray. And then these stay the hull color. So I figure I'd do them separate and glue them on later. But I'm liking it. It's a crazy panel pattern. You kind of got some light grays on this side that would be darker on the other side, especially on the bottom, like that. I tried to follow what they had a little bit. I don't know how canon all of that is. But it looked cool anyway. This thing's going to be so heavily washed. We'll go and hit it. They say dry brush it with like a white. I'm probably going to use that sky gray to pull a little more gray into it, dry brush, and then dry brush it with a teal, because that'll make it look like the cartoon big time. There's a lot of teal scuffs on it, and then we'll do. I don't know if I do the washes before or after, because a lot of the scuffs I think should have some dirt to them as well. Are there areas here that get yellow? It might be, and then there's the one lights. I got to do that. I think there are areas that get yellow on the wingtips. I don't see a third. Oh yeah, way back in there. So they're probably wing lights. Okay, so we got to do that. But that can probably go last because they're supposed to be. They look really clean on every image. Yeah, I'm trying to see if the teal looks really clean or is it dirty. I think it looks clean, so that might be the last thing we do. According to what they're saying, that you do the wash first and as well. It's pretty neat that they actually explain what they did. Paint, then do your thin dark wash, and then a white dry brush, and then a teal dry brush. But I think we're going to change the white to that sky gray, which is pretty much almost a white. But yeah, we got to go in. I'll tape off the inside grills here, hit this with black so it light blocks it. And then we'll hit it with the hull color. And of course, on the red one, then we got to go in. They have a decal for it, but it won't light block. So we'll go in and on these window frames, hit them black first, and then hit them with the hull color. But of course, that will be with the red. That'll be this one. They just made two of the same parch trees. They figured they'd put all the clears on one parch tree. And then since some of them need to be red and some of them need to be blue on this, it's so much easier just the print to inject some in blue and some in red. It's cheaper than making a whole tool for just two blue engines. It makes sense. So, and this gives you a custom option if you want to do something different. All right. Is there anything special about these? I don't think so. This one I can actually snap in there first. I didn't at first realize that this is a snap kit. That's probably why all those excuse me, all those holes were so tight. Is that all it does? Is just sit on there like that? I would think that would go, or would have been a better idea to get these on first. I'm wondering if this little notch is supposed to go behind, like that's supposed to. Yeah, I think that's what's going on here. One's supposed to go in this notch here, and the other's supposed to go in the other one in the back. But it's kind of hard to get. Get in there, so I should have waited. Or I should have put those on first. So what I might have to do is trim these little edges out of the way. We'll keep the hump, but trim one of these edges out of the way so we can get it to slide back there. I want to get rid of all that because that gets rid of my height. I might not have any choice because there's no other way to, because that's the major blocking situation. Unless I just let it sit up on that back because it's almost back there. It's just that little notch back. Yeah, because if I get rid of, I'm afraid if I get rid of any of that, it's gonna. gonna sit back, sit down weird. Don't think that's gonna make any difference. So no matter what, I might be able to get it snap in there now. There we go. There we go. Just gotta get one last. That works. Now I'll probably have to do the same here. But at least this one we have this peg to line it up better. Probably could go in with my Dremel. Get rid of all this. We'll get this one in here so we can see how it wants to really sit, and then we can adjust how that's sitting like that compared to this one. There it goes. So it's even though this goes at an angle, it's sitting perfectly straight. So okay. But you are still not falling down into that piece there. Doesn't make sense. I don't get why, because you're back far enough. Let me get rid of this, unless this could be causing the problem. There it goes. There it goes. Needs to spin more like that. Yeah, now I like it. Beautiful. Now let's get some glue in there. The nice thing is the capillary action will allow it to go around and catch it. So there we go. Those are on. Kind of like how those wore off for me. Do the same thing on this. All right, very good. So we'll hit that is ready for a clear coat. And just paint those clear parts, and then we'll get some, once the clear coat dries, we'll come back and start doing the decals. Then I'll hit it with another clear satin, and then we'll do the washes and the weathering and stuff, and then hit it with a satin. But yeah, it looks like we have the black area that goes on here. We have the pinstripes that go across the front, and I think the rest of them are really wing detail. Yeah, we got all this here. So we got little black triangles here, 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 and then the ones right in front of the windshields. Little black dots that go up on that. And then we got the two pinstripes on the nose. And the rest of them are on the wingtips, I believe. That's it. Yeah, both sides of those wings. And I think there's something up there as well. Oh, there is one right here on this, both sides. And then we got the ones out here. And then we got red stripes that go on these gun things. But I like to try to get the decals down before weathering. I know there's some people that like to do it afterwards, but I think then the decals look clean, and they shouldn't. Like they painted new stripes. Plus, then sometimes you can go in and chip them too. Off to do a clear.